Werribee is totally underrated, and I'm going to tell you why.
Hi, I'm Hayley Lim and I'm a Melbourne-based buyer's agent.
And I'm Rad Serene and I run a national buyer's agency as well. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be walking you through some high-level data on a couple of really popular suburbs in Melbourne.
We are heading to Werribee, which is about 30 kilometres southwest of Melbourne's CBD.
How beautiful is this? This is not actually Werribee, this is Werribee South, which is if you take a look at the beach, like how lovely is that? People probably don't even know that you can live in Werribee and be a 10-minute drive to the beach.
Because they think Werribee's waterlocked, you know, or whatever the word is. You can't access the water. But 10 minutes drive down south, you got this lovely, I'm going to call it a beach. It is a beach.
And we also, well, the Werribee Open Range Zoo is down there. It's such a great zoo. I actually love it. I love the Werribee Open Range Zoo. Very popular with kids and families, packed during school holidays. I just saw they transported the elephants from the zoo in Melbourne across to the Open Range Zoo, and the elephants are having a ball down there.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's cool. They have any baby elephants?
There are baby elephants.
I love elephants.
What do you like about Werribee, Raj?
I like that there's a lot of opportunity in Werribee. I feel like people dismiss the suburb too quickly because of the data that they see online.
Yeah.
And so part of today, getting boots on the ground, is with your local insights, we're going to unpack some of the data that we're seeing, and we're going to look past the data and really understand, because there are obviously there are many pockets within Werribee, as we were discussing before. There are definitely some dodgy areas that you want to stay well clear of if you don't want, you know, your tenants having domestic issues, breaking doors down and things like that. And if you want a nice, safe investment property that will return you well over the long term, I still think some of these properties will grow, but they'll just be a nightmare to hold. But then there are some other pockets within Werribee that we'll be driving past today, where the data's really good, but the streets look good as well. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I love buying in Werribee. I think there is a lot of opportunity, but you need to know where to look. There are some areas that I would absolutely avoid, because there's, not that it's bad, there's nothing suggesting that lower socioeconomic areas will not grow, but it's just a rougher part of town, and some of our clients just do not want to deal with the headaches with tenants, and like you say, it's just going to be an issue holding it.
So Werribee, for those that don't know, is a suburb in Melbourne, southwest of Melbourne. It's 31 kilometres driving distance from Melbourne CBD, and you can hop on a train and you can go straight into Melbourne, and it takes approximately 40 to 45 minutes, which is a fairly easy commute. Remembering that Melbourne is a very large city, so you compare it to a city like Sydney, where most people in Sydney would hats down agree that if it were a 40-45 minute commute, that was awesome. That was really good, especially if you didn't have to drive. You know, you could just check your emails or work on your laptop as you make your commute into work. So I think from a commute perspective, it's great. That said, not everyone needs to travel to the CBD either. Is that right, Hayley?
That's right. You barely have to, it's like a satellite centre, this part of town, where you can get all the amenities and your needs with schools and shops, the Bunnings and, you know, cafes, things that people need, parks, recreational area, without leaving the western suburbs. And the Werribee and Hoppers Crossing pocket has a lot of all of that.
Yeah, I was looking at some stats. This is from a few years ago, and 25% of people that live in Werribee actually work from home, which is interesting. And I mean, you know, these stats are all collected by the ABS, and they do it every few years. So I'd imagine, like, post-COVID, that number would be up significantly, because I think this is 4-year-old data that I was looking at for that particular metric. So I think it would be up significantly, and that's across. I think that's across a lot of suburbs in the country now, where work from home is more accepted than it was pre-COVID.
We've bought for Sydney siders who think Werribee is really close to the city. Can't believe you can buy a 3-bedroom house on a big block of land for $600,000 that close to the city. And I was like, you think that's close? And they're like, yeah, it's close.
Yes. And this is what we really want to talk about as well, because what I did was I compared two suburbs in Sydney, because again, you have to compare Melbourne to Sydney. You can't compare Melbourne to Adelaide or Perth, because it's just older and so much larger in terms of expanse, geography, and population. So, comparing two suburbs that are similar-ish to Werribee, similar distance, also southwest of the CBD, would be Cabramatta and Liverpool. The only difference there is Werribee is a very, very large suburb geographically, but also it has about 50,000, just over 50,000 people living in the suburb. There's a whole bunch of suburbs that I would consider together that would be similar to a Werribee in terms of distance from the city and lifestyle and that sort of thing. And the prices there in Liverpool and in Cabramatta are 1.2 and 1.4 million.
Oh, wow.
And the interesting thing about that, speaking to relative affordability ratios, is the incomes in Werribee are actually just a little bit higher on median than the incomes in Liverpool or Cabramatta, with twice the median house price.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the Affordability Index in Werribee, I think it's something like 35 or 36 years to own,
Yes.
which is very affordable
good,
for
especially
Melbourne.
for Melbourne. So there are just under 19,000 dwellings in Werribee, which is typical, which would be about 2.7 people out of the 50-odd thousand people that live in Werribee. There are 2.7 people per household. So there's quite a lot of properties there, and it's a fairly established suburb.
We want to buy in this, for investors, buy in the established parts of the suburb,
Yes.
but there are pockets of Werribee with new developer stock as well.
Yes.
That would be more towards the west, closer to Wyndhamville.
Yes.
That's part of the suburb to avoid buying.
And this is where your insights are very valuable, because the ISAD score, which is the Index of Relative Social Affordability and Disadvantage, is 30 in Werribee, which is actually quite high if you think about the entire suburb. But that's because there's 18,500 dwellings and 50,000 people. The score in itself is quite high, but if you look across pockets, and this is where local knowledge is so important in Werribee, there are pockets with the ISAD score in the 80s, and there are pockets in the single digits with 2s and 3s in front of them, which we'll drive past some of these houses now, and we'll start to understand why and what these different houses look like.
So we're now in the southern part of Werribee, like Werribee proper, and this is the southern pocket. This bit is highly desired by both buyers and also renters because it's in the Werribee Secondary School catchment zone. So on the left here, you can see that's the Werribee Secondary School. And we like buying in this pocket, and we bought a house around here recently where there were tenants who, people talk about the vacancy rate in Werribee being so bad, but that house flew when it first opened because the tenants really wanted to be in the school zone. So depending on where you buy, the data that you see for the suburb as a whole, it might not be relevant to certain pockets.
Correct, because the vacancy rate currently is 4.36%, which is a big red flag if you're just looking at the data on a suburb level. Schools really, really matter, especially to owner-occupiers, and especially when you're going to sell down the track. In 5 to 7 years, when it's you selling the property, that school zone is going to attract, for the same reasons, someone that's willing to pay double what you paid in, say, 10 years' time.
So this is the heart of the southern pocket of Werribee. You can see the homes here look very nice. There's hardly anything for sale in this area as well. So if I see anything in this pocket that's good, chances are I'll be buying it because hardly anything ever comes up. They're very, very tightly held. So I think the whole period data for this pocket is also very skewed. Look at these houses. How pretty are they?
Beautiful.
It's very strong owner-occupier appeal. You can tell the homes are very well loved by the garden when there's flowers.
Yeah, and this is where there's pockets within pockets, because we were driving through some pockets yesterday, was it? And it was a very different vibe to the streets we're driving down now, and it might only be 10 minutes apart in terms of commutable distance.
Look at how house-proud people are with the variety of flowers and shrubbery that
especially
people have
this
in their
time of the
gardens.
year. If you notice the Christmas decorations outside people's houses, it just shows that they take pride in their houses.
Just go to the next street along. So this is Church Street. Look, Santa Claus on the lawn. Next street is Birch Street. That's also a very nice street that we like. So this is south of, if you look at Werribee, I can take you down there in a sec, but Watton Street is the main shopping strip in Werribee, and anything south of that is good. Houses here, so whilst the suburb data suggests that a typical 3-bed home price is in the sixes, you will find nothing in the sixes here. You could potentially get something in the high sixes if it's original and needs work.
But as we know, you could quite easily spend, mid sevens to high sevens in Werribee and buy a very beautiful 4-bedroom house.
And you also find houses in the millions in this pocket of town. So yeah, this is where some of the millionaires of Werribee live. This is another part of the southern side of Werribee. You can see the houses here look really nice as well. We're on a street called Watton Avenue. Again, you would never find something in the sixes and the sevens here.
Definitely not. So if you look at the median income in Werribee, it's $85,500 per annum per person, which is just under the the Victorian average of I think it's 105,000. So, but where the data as well doesn't tell you the story is no one living in these pockets paying $1.3 million is earning $85,000 a year.
That's
because you just
right.
couldn't afford to do that. And I suppose it's median for a reason, right? It's the mid set of the data point. So there's probably people earning $300,000 and there's people earning $40,000, and it comes up with somewhere in the middle point being the median. That's per person, of course. So if you have look at some of these beautiful houses right across from parks, looks beautiful. If you have two people earning $80,000, $85,000 each, that's $175,000 family income, and they may have one or two children as well. But if you talk about affordability, if you're spending, say, not $1 million, but you're spending, say, $700,000, which would still buy you a nice house in a different pocket of Werribee, then as a DTI or a debt to income ratio, that's just above 4 times, which is super affordable. Because again, we go back to the Cabramatta, Liverpool, Parramatta example in Sydney, where the house prices are 1.2 to 1.4 million. Your debt to income ratio on, let's just say you earn the same money, actually earn a little bit less there on median, it's about 9 times. So more than double the half the affordability of Werribee.
Alright, we've seen some very nice pockets of Werribee. Maybe let's look at something different for contrast.
Let's go find some burnouts. There's this thing I've heard on many podcasts, so you should buy just outside of 300 meters to a train station. You'll do really well.
My clients are the same. Or clients or just people in general, generally they think buying really close to the train station is good, and you have no idea how many sales agents have tried to get me to buy properties near train stations and tell me, but Hayley, it's so close to the train station. I think proximity to train is good, but you don't want to be too close. Some of the roughest parts of town, and you do see it when we drive past. You do see the homelessness and just the roughness. They are very close to the train station. So typically I would avoid buying too close to the train station.
Definitely.
But yeah, obviously if you can get to the train station...
within a commutable distance, let's say, right?
Yeah.
And that will really come down to the streetscape.
Yes.
It's like this, I consider it similar to like shopping centres or big car parks, or even they say go follow the Bunnings, but you don't really want to be next to a Bunnings or anything with an overflow car park, or
That's right.
even next to I don't care how good the school is, you don't want to be across it because you're never going to get out of your house. I actually lived in a property in Sydney that was next to a school, and we would never leave during school hours because it would take us 20 to 25 minutes to get down 50 meters to the traffic lights.
And this is why they shouldn't trust the sales agent. In saying that, look, don't get me wrong, we'll talk about sales agent relationships. We have very strong relationships with sales agents and really love working with them. But as a buyer who doesn't know what they're looking for, the sales agent will tell you about the property and tell you that being near the train station or being near the school is really good. I had a sales agent who tried me to sell a home that is a few doors from the school. And I said, well, it's too close to the school. And he said, isn't that a good thing? And I said, no, it's not a good thing. Like, traffic during peak hours would be a nightmare. And they're like, oh, okay. That's why you're the buyer's agent.
Yeah. Well, I suppose the sales agent, as nice as they are in terms to buyer's agents because they value the relationship, ultimately they're there to represent their vendor
100%.
and get the highest price with the
Correct.
best terms.
And it's up to, and they're going to leave it to the buyer to do their own due
research.
diligence.
So people are interested in how much, because if we're buying it for investments, people are interested in, well, how much is Werribee, if we say that there are good pockets to invest in Werribee, or how much is Werribee growing per month? So we looked at the data for Werribee as a whole, and we've just explained that there are various pockets in Werribee. Some we would never buy in, and others we're chasing sales agents to try and get before they've even listed it, to try and buy the property. So on a suburb level, it's showing growth across Werribee for the last 3 months of September, October and November, approximately 0.2 to 0.5% per month.
Oh, wow.
What are you finding on some of the properties that you bought?
Yeah, I think this is where the suburb-wide data is not reflective of certain pockets. So if we look at something that we bought back in May, that settled back in May, we bought that at 610. A similar property today would be worth at least 690. And if it was to go to market, and with the right campaign, and if you stage the property, I'm pretty confident it will go for a lot more.
So that's what, 80k minimum
Yes,
in 7 months.
that's right. So that's about 2% a month.
2% a month, or just over $11,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So that's more than double
Yeah.
the Werribee average that we can see on the high level actually it's not high level because it's suburb level data. You don't really get data that's any more micro than suburb level data, other than local intelligence.
So now we are, let's call it the northern part of Werribee, and you can see it looks very different. Well, we've got the cemetery on the right. Definitely don't want to buy anywhere near there.
It's funny how many people actually, obviously lots of people do, but I've never bought a house in front of or bordering or next to a cemetery.
Me neither.
I'm sure they grow too, but I don't know.
I don't know. The thing is, would you want to live near a cemetery? I wouldn't.
It's actually not even that for me. I actually believe in ghosts. Just wouldn't do it from that point of view. Like, I don't want to see something in my backyard.
Yeah. So, so we're in the area called the Birdcage, and you'll soon see as we drive past lots of bird names. And this is a very rough pocket of Werribee that we do not buy for our clients, but the houses here are a lot cheaper, and that's what draws people to Werribee. So you can see on the left here, it's Rosella Avenue. We're just turning off Kookaburra. So if you know your birds, well, Kookaburra is a pretty common bird, but if you don't know your bird names, it's a good time to start learning all the bird names, because they are all the streets that you want to avoid.
And the funny thing is, it's in the heart of Werribee, and it's right, Hoppers Crossing. It's right on the border of Hoppers Crossing.
So this is Watton Street. This is the heart of Werribee, or the center of Werribee, if you like. Lots of shops here. Cafes, lunch places, brekkie places. There's the notorious cafe down a couple hundred meters on the right. That's really popular amongst the locals for lunch coffee.
Shark grilled chicken right there.
Yeah. You see lots of just the general things that people need, yeah, like chemists, Coles just here. There's another big Woolies down there as well. Lots of bakeries. I'm going to go down to get a snack from a bakery that I like. We're going to head down there to meet Sharon. She's a property manager that helps us quite a lot. Sharon's here to help us understand what the rental market is like in the area. So, Sharon, what we see on a data level, on a suburb-wide level, is the vacancy rate in Werribee is uncomfortably high. It's 4.3%. and increasing, and that scares a lot of investors and scares a lot of buyers agents as well. So a lot of buyers agents will say, don't buy in Werribee, it's the vacancy rate is way too high. However, what we see on the ground can be quite different, can't it?
Correct. So established pockets near quality schools and transport, they're still renting well. Find the vacancy rates and levels are getting higher at the moment due to the release of all the new builds in the new estates nearby. So when you get an influx in those estates of, of great level all at once, that does tend to flood the market. But that doesn't affect the established pockets because people want to come to these other areas because they want their children to go to these great schools that are very popular. They want to be near the transport we have here, and we're still affordable. Like compared to other suburbs and closer areas into the city, everywhere around here is still affordable and within people's reach of being able to rent a nice quality home. That still has all those features, and it's much more affordable than the city. So don't let the vacancy rates at the moment, they don't reflect what it's really like in those established areas.
What are the types of properties that are really hard to rent out? Like, what should we stay away from buying?
Something that's a bit run down and a bit tired. Although in saying that, a coat of paint, some new flooring and some blinds can just revamp a property and make it look, much more appealing. So,
you've seen we have bought stuff like that,
correct,
right? Where the cost of updating it is very small, like a coat of paint for the house, a 3-bed house, it's not that much, but it gives you the instant uplift. What is your thoughts on the rents in the area and where they're heading?
I think we may not see the larger growths that we've seen in the last 2 years maybe, and I think right now things have just leveled off at the moment. But I think once the new year comes around again and things go back to normal, we're generally very busy in January and February. That influx of prospective renters, we'll probably see increases again, maybe not quite in the larger steps that we have over the last 2 years. They might be a little bit smaller, but certainly couldn't see rents going backwards. They're certainly still going to increase, but just not quite as much as we have seen over the last couple of years.
And that's why we love partnering with you as well, because you have this huge database of tenants that you can prospect to off-market. Well, like how buyers agents, we get access to properties off-market, at the same time partnering with the right property manager who has a huge database of tenants that we can rent the property out off-market. It saves our clients on marketing fees and makes life simple for everyone.
It is. It's great. It happens all the time. I know something's coming up in a couple of weeks. I start talking to people at other properties that don't suit. I go, I've got one coming up in 2 weeks. I think you're really going to like it. By the time it's ready to rent, I've already got a group of people that I'm going to take through, and it just makes everyone's life so much easier, and it just quickens the process as well and reduces those days on market.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights. It's so invaluable working with you over this past year, and also getting your insights into what's happening in the local area.
No, it's been my pleasure to work with you guys. You're a great bunch of people, so thank you so much, and your clients are so lucky to have you.
Oh, likewise. Thank you.
Thank you.
So what do you think about Werribee, Raj?
Yeah, so Werribee is a suburb with many, many pockets, as we've just explained through the video. So we've seen some really nice parts of Werribee where we first started off, and then we've seen the dodgier parts of Werribee where we personally wouldn't be putting our money. So really got to look behind the data. This is one of those suburbs where the data tells maybe only about 60 to 70% of the story, and local intelligence is really important.
Yeah, I agree. So getting to know the pockets, and also really getting to know, when I say getting to know pockets, getting to know people who understand the area really well. Like we talked to someone like Sharon, she's been in the area for over 20 years, understands the market inside out, understands the differences in property that we get in different pockets inside out as well. There's nothing that beats on the ground market intelligence.
Correct. Yeah, exactly right. Like a 4.36% vacancy rate. That would be a major red flag, and I wouldn't buy in a suburb if that's all I knew about the suburb. And a lot of people are looking at data platforms these days. So just don't just rule a suburb out, because walking around here, this is a really nice family-friendly suburb, and we're still in the heart of Werribee. So you just got to understand what you're looking to do and where you're looking to put your money, I suppose.
We're both fans of this suburb. We absolutely buy here.
Absolutely.
We buy here all the time. Well, I say all the time, we buy here every other week. And we just wanted to share a bit of info around what to look out for when buying in a place like this.
I'm Rad Serene from Equity Finance Buyers Agents.
And I'm Hayley Lim from First Move Property, Melbourne-based buyers advocate.
Hope you enjoyed this episode on Werribee.